Good morning, everyone. My name is Jeff Migole. I'm the co-founder and CEO of CEO Business Club Gabon. We are very, very happy today because every Wednesday we have the opportunity to meet some of the great founders, CEOs, and entrepreneurs. And today I'm going to introduce you David Bauer from I Need an Expert. And he's going to also to introduce us one of the fantastic CEO and founder, Naledi Gallant. So David, please, over to you.
Thank you very much, Jeff, and welcome, Naledi. This is so great. So every Wednesday at this time at 8:30, we actually interview a CEO. So today we've got a real special guest. We've got Naledi Gallant. Let me tell you a little bit about her before we get into the interview itself. Naledi is a busy, business-savvy serial entrepreneur, very busy. She's a life and business coach as well as a public speaker. She's an intrepid, visionary, and activator that is inspired to authentically connect with people and transform their lives profoundly through bringing out the best in them. Previous companies that she's worked for and this is after she completed her studies, was KPMG, where she served articles before moving to WipCapital, where she worked as an institutional equities, as an institutional equities trader and a financial markets analyst. So it's really good to have you here. And today we're going to talk about your new company that you're the CEO of, it's called Dalitso Holdings. I'm going to spell that D-A-L-I-T-S-O Holdings. So welcome, Naledi. Great to have you here today.
Good morning, David. Thank you so much for having me this morning. I look forward to the interview session.
Fantastic, fantastic. Now, Naledi, I was looking through your LinkedIn profile, and we're going to put that up on the Clubhouse at the top there shortly. And what we would like to do is, I believe that you've got 4 main areas in your business that you focus on. And could you just give us a brief overview of each of those 4 elements? And then what we're going to do is go into each one and talk about each one in more detail. So, Naledi, would you like to tell us what those 4 areas are in your business?
Oh, yes, most definitely. So our organization is an HR consultancy. So we provide end-to-end HR services to our clients, which are, both private and public sector. And the focus areas within the HR services is bursary administration and management services. We provide training and development services, as well as recruitment and headhunting services, and outsourced HR services to all organizations, both big and small.
Wow. So let's start with bursaries, because I remember when I was at varsity, I had a bursary with Marion Roberts, and basically they would just give me some money every month. Or every year, I think, and then I would go and spend it as I wanted to. Could you tell us about this whole management thing? Because that's something that is, I think, it's so incredibly important, especially with the amount of youth that are coming through the schools right now, and the education that they need. Could you tell us a little bit about what your business does with regard to bursary management?
Oh, okay, no, definitely. Funny enough, I actually have a story about a fellow student. She was actually my roommate when I was in varsity, and she also got a bursary from one of the corporates way back then. And they didn't have systems in place, so she did apply for the bursary, and the whole lump sum, I think it must have been 20,000, was paid into her account. And, instead of using this money and, paying for her fees and paying for her accommodation, she's ended up, shopping with this money. She ended up using this money for everything else other than for her studies. And, at the end of the day, her studies were not paid for, her tuition was not paid for, and the corporate that was actually sponsoring her didn't even, follow up. When they inquired about her results at the end of the year, she was just ducking and diving. And, I think at that point, I actually realized that, there's actually a gap in the market in terms of, bursary administration and management, because it is a pain point for quite a number of corporates. And that is basically where we come in as Dalitso Holdings, because bursaries administration is quite a mammoth task. It's very administrative. Because it does require a lot of tracking. So in order to mitigate the risk of the funds being misspent, it's quite important to put in place procedures and processes to make sure that tuition is covered, accommodation is properly paid for, and all of those. So what we do is we help corporates to administer and manage these funds by, assisting with the recruitment process. An organization that's possibly maybe within the financial sector may decide that, they want to create a pipeline of people that are graduating with maybe actuarial sciences and, some IT and all of that. So they would provide us with a spec, and we would assist them in, identifying students at university that are studying in those fields. And so assist with the recruitment process, and we would then assist in managing and, liaising with those institutions, as well as making sure that the relevant institutions get paid on time. So we would expedite and, do the transactions in terms of making sure that, the universities get paid, and that tuition and accommodation and textbooks for these students are paid. So the money does not go into the student's account. It basically goes to the service providers, which would now be the university, the landlords, and we give them book vouchers for them to purchase textbooks. And then what we also then do is we also track. We basically travel the journey with the students and track their performance, in academic performance. And we also assist in making sure that we provide support from a mental and emotional perspective, to make sure that they are getting all the necessary assistance to make sure that at the end of the year, they pass, and provide feedback and reports to the organizations. And, just to make sure that the organizations are also able to build a pipeline by the end of the year, knowing how many students are doing their final years, because that would also help in the recruitment process, because they would then be able to identify that we've got, so many accountants graduating at the end of the year. We've got so many, IT graduates at the end of the year. So these are people that can be absorbed within the organization, and thereby saving on recruitment costs. So that would allow them to be able to, absorb these students into the organization. And it's not only just external students that we do this bursary administration for, we also do it for internal, which means these are employees of these organizations. So quite a number of organizations do provide bursaries for their employees. This is really good because it also boosts employee morale, because it means that the organization takes care of its employees, and at the end of the journey of their studies, they have opportunities to be promoted within the organization. So it's a win-win for the organization and for the employees.
Wow, I think this is an amazing niche market that you've gone into. I can understand it totally, being a bursary student myself. I mean, there was no support at all from the organization that I was employed by. The only thing that I had to do, and it was a bit of I remember I had to go along and work during my holidays, and was actually because I needed those points at varsity. And I remember I had to travel from Johannesburg to Pretoria because it was the only site this was Marion Roberts. There was only site that I had that was available for me to work on. And I remember it cost me more to drive to the site and go home than I was getting paid every day. So I was actually paying them to work. But I think this amazing niche market that you've gone into, and also what I think really helps the students is the helping them, contacting the students and actually helping them through the process and finding out where they are and if they're struggling and that. Do you actually give them help, or do you give them advice? What does that look like, Naledi?
Okay, so we basically have an app which they're able to tap into, where they able to talk about how they are feeling, whether they are coping or not. So usually, it's a process, because most institutions do have counseling sessions. So that would be the first main point of contact for them to communicate to us where they require assistance. And then we will then channel them and put them in touch with the relevant people within those institutions. And if that doesn't go well, then we would then arrange for, other external people that are qualified in the area of providing support, be it counseling or tutoring or whatever it may be that we have identified that the relevant students require assistance with. And then what we would do is we would also create WhatsApp groups of students that are studying similar modules or courses, so that they can actually work together and support each other. So, there are quite a number of benefits in doing this. And the nice thing about it is it's also technology based. So, it allows them to be able to do a lot of things online instead of doing things manually. And the same applies for the organizations. They're able to pull through reports, real-time reports, during meetings. They're able to see, how many, they're able to, see their spend, how much money they've spent. They're able to see how many students are qualifying at the end of the year, and all sorts of information that's available to them. So it's actually a wonderful tool.
Wow, I think this is really powerful. I mean, it's really, I think, much needed thing here, especially in South Africa and Africa. So that's fantastic. Can we go to the next item, which I think is your training and development section? And let's talk about that and see how, you help businesses through your training and development efforts that you're doing.
Yeah, so training and development is quite big currently in South Africa, because a lot of the organizations are able to score on triple BE points for doing that, because it's quite important given the skills shortage that we have in South Africa. So taking care of your employees and upskilling them and training them is actually quite vital in making sure that we are able to create, the type of skill set required to meet the changing business environment, as we can see now, especially after COVID-19. It's basically thrust everybody into the technology space. If you had decided that you're not in technology and that's not what you want to do, unfortunately, nature has forced us into that direction. So we are finding that the skills, the skills that were required, a few years ago are becoming redundant, and the market out there requires people to have a certain skill set. So that's basically where training and development comes in. And our organization is accredited with quite a number of CETAs. So we basically assist quite a number of companies with training and development. And it's not just that, we also do provide this to ordinary people out there. There's quite a number of people. Actually, there's a course that we are currently providing, which is a facilitator course, to become a facilitator, assessor, and a moderator. And this is a course that we give to, ordinary people out there. There's quite a lot of people that lost employment due to the COVID-19, the impact of retrenchment. And so I can actually share this wonderful story of a lady that actually did a course with us. She used to have a crèche, which is basically daycare for little kids, little babies. It's called early childhood development. And when she started realizing that she's struggling in terms of business given COVID-19, she decided to do this facilitator course, and it allows you to become a freelancer and be in a position to help in training other people as well. She was struggling to find teachers and caregivers in her crèche, and she decided to do this facilitator course with us in order for her to be able to train and facilitate the training course for more people to be trained in the early childhood development space. And she's now able to freelance to the Department of Education. And so we've seen quite a number of people who were retrenched during COVID-19, or who are seeking other ways of making income on another level. And this facilitator course has become quite popular and is in high demand at the moment for quite a number of people or individuals out there.
Naledi, how does this relate to SMMEs? Because there's a lot of SMMEs out there that actually need these type of development courses and training courses. How do you assist the SME market?
Okay, so where the SMMEs, we assist them mainly, not so much in the training and development space. What we've identified is that SMMEs do require HR services. As a small business, it's very difficult to get a full-time HR department. I mean, you are relatively small. As a small organization, you need to focus on your core business, growing your core business. So it wouldn't necessarily be that financially viable to have a full-time HR person. So what we do is we provide virtual HR services to quite a number of SMME clients. And, I remember when I was starting off my business, it was characterized by a lot of trial and error because of lack of experience in the HR space. We find that a lot of especially in the SMME space, a lot of business owners or entrepreneurs, they've got very limited knowledge about how to deal with people issues, and they really don't have time to develop things like policies and employment contracts. And South Africa also has very, very strict labor relations legislation. CCMA is a really, really big issue, and we also have skills shortage is another issue, and also lack of engagement with employees. So a lot of SMMEs, come to us for assistance where, we provide them with retainer services, and we provide them with virtual HR services and assist them to be compliant and, to be able to do all of these things without having necessarily to hire a full-time HR expert in the business, but knowing that per month, they can contract a certain amount of hours for us to assist them with all of their HR needs, be it HR policies, be it chairing of disciplinary hearings, assisting with anything that pertains to managing employees. So that is basically the type of work and the type of assistance that we provide to quite a number of SMMEs that are struggling with HR related matters.
No, I think that's a very vital service that you need to offer. I know, having my own business at HR is quite a nightmare in itself. So, it's great to have a professional business that you can actually rely on to actually offer those services and actually look after that element for you so that you can focus on your business.
That is so true.
I want to talk a little bit about your recruitment, because, obviously that's really important in South Africa, especially finding the right person to, work in a company, especially a company that's growing. And how do you help those type of businesses that are growing, that need new employees? with recruitment, Naledi?
Yes, so, that's actually quite a fundamental issue, especially in South Africa, given our very high unemployment rate. We've got, one of the highest youth unemployment rates in the world. And so, recruitment is quite critical, and that goes hand in hand with, training and development, because, people do require the relevant skill set in order for them to be employable, and for organizations to be able to recruit them. So definitely we assist quite a number of clients with recruitment services, going out there and identifying people with the relevant skill set or the potential skill set, and then, making recommendations on, certain courses that they may need to go through in order for them to meet these skill sets. Because as I had mentioned earlier, the landscape has changed quite dramatically, and not a lot of people are equipped with the skills and the knowledge required into this new era of the business market that we are moving into. So it's quite important for organizations to be open-minded in knowing that it's a partnership that they would need to be creating with employees, to say that we need to travel this journey together. You may not be perfect and have 100% what we require. However, the attitude is most important. And then, we can try and see how we can equip you with the relevant training and skills required to fill this position. So it is a consultative process, because, quite a lot of the times organizations do want somebody that's ready, off the shelf. But unfortunately, there's not that many people out there. As an organization, you still need to invest into some of these into some of these people to get them to the level that you need them to be in order for them to add value into the organization, and for them to have the relevant skill set to take the organization to the next level, basically.
So Naledi, if I understand you correctly, you help the person that you're recruiting to actually get those necessary skills, and then you also work with the company to understand what they need, and you then facilitate that whole process. But now, are you actually training those people, or do you get the company to train them? Which way is it?
The company would then request us to assist with the training. So yes, so like I said, we provide end-to-end HR services for our clients. So it just makes things a lot more easier, because we get to travel this journey with the client. So having identified the candidates, we already know the issues at hand, what is needed, and we are in a position to identify also the skills gaps, and also be able to make recommendations to the client based on their requirements in terms of the type of training that may be required for this for these individuals. So the training is provided and funded by the organization or the corporate that is hiring these employees. And however, we do the facilitation of the training as well as the recruitment of these employees on behalf of the clients.
Wow, I think that's a really vital thing here, especially in South Africa and Africa. But now, your company, what area is it focusing on? Are you focusing on the whole spectrum, or are you looking at like your executive staff, or what level are you looking at when you do your recruitment?
Okay, so we are generalists in terms of recruitment. So it means we work in all industries, so financial services, engineering, IT, and so forth. And quite a number of the requests that we receive from the corporates that we work with are usually, mid-level and above. However, from time to time, we do have, requests for entry-level people. or employees. So yeah, it's basically a wide spectrum. So, you know, we do have clients that would require us to assist them with, you know, your call center, graduate programs, internships. And so it's quite wide.
Okay, okay. So,
all the way up to executive level.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember when I basically did some recruitment. I had a IT recruitment business a little while ago, and one of the things that I found was that the people who I was recruiting would come to me as a recruitment agency and say, "What are you going to do for me?" For me to be able to. Do you find that a lot in your business? The actual people can say, "What are you going to do for me?"
Are you speaking about the job seekers or?
Yeah, the job seekers. The job seekers. You know, because I was specifically in the IT, doing IT, and obviously they're very highly paid people, and they would say to me, "What are you going to do for me?" For me to give you my CV to get a job for me. Do you find that?
Yeah, you know, what we actually find is not necessarily, I think a lot of the people do understand how this industry works. We do run quite a number of campaigns just to make people understand how you know, a recruitment agency would typically work, and you know, what is expected of them and what's expected of us, so that, you know, they have a clear understanding of the role that we play in the entire recruitment process. So a lot of the time, the people that do approach us are people that are seeking for us to represent them in terms of, you know, finding them employment. There really isn't necessarily anything that they require from us in return, except for us to basically assist them in finding or matching them with the right employer or the employer of choice. So it's about them, you know, getting to know them better, so that we understand, you know, because, you know, corporate culture is quite important. You know, matching, that's basically what it is. Recruitment is about matching. It's about finding the right candidate for the right company. And, you know, in that, it's not just about, you know, looking for just the right skills. You're looking for somebody that does meet the requirements. However, you also look at the corporate culture of the organization. You look at, you know, other offerings that this individual may require. And you also look at the client as well, what they require. And you need to basically be able to match the requirements from both parties in order for it to be a lasting relationship that is successful and mutually beneficial for both the employer as well as the employee. And that's basically what we do. We facilitate that process.
The matching process. Excellent.
The matching process. Recruitment is matching. That's what it is.
Oh, thank you, Naledi. One of the things I want to ask you, you were talking earlier about your HR services that you offer to SMEs. Is there HR services that you would offer to corporates at all?
Yes, there are HR services that corporates do outsource to us. You know, they tend to have their own HR department that would do a lot of the sort of transactional HR related stuff. However, where we would come in is where they would need us to help with something like HR strategy, or perhaps an organizational design or change management, or if they need us to assist them with something like job grading or, you know, salary reviews and performance reviews. So things that are a lot more strategic, that would require a consultant to assist with. So that is the type of consulting or HR services that we would typically be providing to the larger organizations. It's more, you know, strategic stuff that is once off, where they, you know, have instituted certain changes, and they basically need us to align some of the HR processes with the organizational objectives of the organization.
I wanted to ask you about, obviously we had COVID and, this remote working that took place, etc. How did you help your corporates that you're working with regard to, suddenly having their employees working from home rather than being in the office? How did you actually deal with that from an HR point of view?
Okay, that was actually quite an exciting period for us. Because we needed to pivot very quickly to, try and see how we can assist our clients. So what we actually did is we hosted quite a number of webinars, free webinars, just talking about, COVID-19, what it was and the impact that it's having on businesses. And, just providing information and providing a platform for people to be able to share their experiences, because, when COVID hit, nobody knew, nobody had the answers. So it was quite important for us to have and create a platform for people to engage, to talk about their experiences and share their experiences, because we were all on a learning curve. Because nobody had the answers. There was just so much uncertainty. And so that was basically the platform that we had created. So we had weekly webinar sessions, and we would share all the relevant information that would be helpful to, to all corporates and SMMEs alike, be it, coming from government, coming from Department of Labor. We had the TERS, where, they could claim from UIF in terms of, salary reductions or salary cuts, where some organizations, were unable to pay salaries. So we were providing information and assisting in helping them to lodge claims with UIF and the Department of Labor, to claim for such, and, providing information on how to get funding for SMMEs, and, also talking about providing counseling for employees that have been affected or, or infected by COVID-19, and how to go about dealing with that, as well as, assisting with putting together policies around organizational health and safety policies that, deal with COVID-19 in the workplace. So there was quite a lot of engagement. It was quite, it was quite, it's something that we really enjoyed quite a lot, engaging with everybody and, getting everybody to talk. It's something that it was a platform that a lot of people required. So it really did help quite a lot. And that's the kind of support and the kind of engagement that we were providing during that time.
And thank you. And now the situation, obviously, with people going back to work, I mean, obviously, in the organizations that you're working with, I mean, are they mostly going back to work, or is there sort of like a scenario where some go to work and some stay at home, or a combination of the two? What are you finding at the moment?
Yeah, that one is actually a very interesting scenario. Quite a number of organizations are having quite a few challenges with that. So firstly, a lot of things changed during COVID. It lasted longer than we had expected. If you can remember, the president announced that we were going to be in lockdown for 21 days, and it ended up being 2 years. And you're not going to believe what happened in that 2 years. So a lot of people relocated because they were working from home. Some people sold their houses. Some people moved to places like PE to be closer to, the beach, where it's nice and peaceful and quiet. So people's lifestyles actually changed quite a lot to accommodate, COVID-19, because people just felt, this is going to be the future way of working. We're now going to be working from home. And so they've made some of them have made permanent changes in their lifestyles. So it is definitely a challenge for a number of organizations that have decided to go back to, everyday work where employees are physically expected to be back in the office premises. So what we are seeing is, a number of them deploying or employing a hybrid approach that involves online as well as physical. So where employees, it's more flexible. So they would come into the office maybe twice a week, and then the other days, continuing to work online. So I think, it's a decision that, each and every organization decides for themselves in terms of the way forward and how they want to take this forward. So a number of government or the public sector, for instance, they have not gone back to work physically. They're still working full-time online. However, most of the private corporations have deployed the hybrid approach where they have certain staff working, on flexi hours in the office and some of the hours online. So it definitely does require a lifestyle adjustment. And with that comes the challenge of the policies around COVID-19. Because we do also have certain employees that want to implement COVID-19 as mandatory for employees that need to access the premises. And as you know, we do have, some people that are anti-vaccine and so forth. So it's quite an interesting one in terms of how that's going to play out as well, because, from a legal perspective, I don't really know if, as an employee, as an employer, you can actually force employees to vaccinate or not. So it's something to be on the lookout for. It's a developing story as more and more people will be expected to go back into the office. And we know that there's quite a number of people that are still not vaccinated. So yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one for quite a number of organizations at the moment. So yes, so we are seeing a lot of that right now.
So we're going to watch this space and see where it develops.
Watch this space. It's an interesting one. So yeah, definitely.
Naledi, tell us a little bit about, obviously you know a huge amount about HR. This is your passion. I can see that you're so passionate about all these various things that you do. Tell us a little bit about your career and, from where you started and how you came to actually be the CEO of this fantastic business.
Okay, well, just a little bit about myself. This actually, I ended up in HR by, I don't know how it happened. It was actually quite unexpected. Because my background, I actually studied to become a chartered accountant. That was actually that's what I aspired to be. And so I did study accounting. I did a BCom honors. And from there, I went and I served articles at, one of the 4 big audit firms. And lo and behold, when I got there, I actually realized, oh my goodness, I actually do not, enjoy accounting and auditing. This is so not me. And so by the time I got to my second year, I did realize that this is not really what I want to do. I enjoy doing something else, but at the time I didn't quite know what it was. And then I actually moved into financial markets. So I joined an investment organization as an equities trader for institutions, and I also did financial market analysis. So that was quite an interesting one. It was very exciting at the beginning. And then unfortunately, that's when the JSE decided to change the business model. So people were no longer trading at the JSE. People were now trading in the individual offices on the monitor, and you would basically monitor everything on your screen, all the all the trades on your screen. So all of that JSE and the, shouting and making noise and what we see on the New York Stock Exchange, all of that just came to an end. And it was shortly after the Enron scandal, and the market became a very bearish market. Things just really went down. And so yeah, my career in that didn't last very long. I think I lasted in that career for about 2 years before I stepped into, I actually went for an interview. I got poached by a recruitment agency, and they were interviewing me for a potential position also in the investment section of another organization. And myself and the owner just ended up chatting, and she said, you would actually make an excellent recruiter. And I was like, well, I don't know anything about HR. And she said to me, actually, you don't have to know anything about HR. It's about matching. If you can match, then you're the right one. And I think you can match. And I thought, okay, really? Well, I'm willing to give it a try. And I did that. I gave it a try, and it really worked out. And that is basically where my journey into HR began. So Dalitso actually started off as a recruitment agency, and then over the years, we started providing additional services, and that is the reason why today it's now an HR consultancy rather than just a recruitment agency. So that is basically my journey and how I ended up in this space unexpectedly.
Well, that's fantastic. That's a beautiful story. I love it. And, finding your passion. I mean, that's what we all got to find our passion.
And that is basically what I say to a lot of people. We live in a different era. I mean, during our parents' time, when you were an accountant, that was it. That's what you were meant for, and you would be an accountant for the rest of your life. I mean, my family was mortified when I told them that I was leaving, the audit firm that I was at. They're like, oh my goodness. I mean, back then it was such a big deal. You've been accepted by this big audit firm. You've already studied a BCom. I mean, I already spent a whole 4 years doing a whole degree plus an honors. And, are you just going to throw all that down the drain? And, we live in a very fluid environment right now. You can be multiple things. And as I mentioned, currently I'm also a serial entrepreneur. I have different business interests. So right now, what we see in the current generation is that they call them slashies. So you become like an accountant / engineer / chef, and you're able to juggle all of these things at the same time. So you don't necessarily have to stick to one career. If things do not work out, you are now able to navigate into something else and something different. And what we are also finding in terms of trends within organizations is that not everybody is actually looking for employment like people used to before. Nowadays, we actually find people don't want to be permanent. They actually prefer contract employment. So they prefer to sell their hours to an organization to say, look, I want to actually give you 10 hours of my time, because it allows you to be able to work with another organization or to provide other services to an organization. So we are finding that more and more organizations are moving away from providing a secure or security in terms of permanent employment. Now, quite a number of organizations are moving to, contract employment. And we're also finding that the more of the younger generation prefer contract employment, because it also allows them freedom to determine how to use their time and that type of thing. So things are different. Things are definitely different compared to how things were when we were growing up and what we were taught in terms of careers.
Absolutely.
Quite interesting.
Agree. I mean, from my side, my parents said to me, okay, go and get a degree, then get into an organization and then stay there until you retire type thing. And that's definitely not how it is today. So I think, and contract employment is the way to go. That's what I strongly believe. And I actually did that since 2004 with my staff. I basically put them all on contract and said, okay, we'll work per contract rather than fully employed. And it actually saved my business, really did, because of the fact that I actually had some money at the end of the year.
No, that is true. And also given the stringent laws that we have in South Africa in terms of employment and labor law. So that's also another way of managing that, because it provides everybody, including the employee and the employer, an opportunity to assess that maybe after a year or 3 years, let us just go back and reassess whether or not this is working, is this relationship working or not, so that we can, decide on whether to renew this employment contract or not, or whether this, it's time maybe to move on to something else, so that, people are not tied in, because that is basically what, some of the permanent employment contracts, that's how we end up having some of these CCMA cases. But it's quite important to make sure that even if you do decide to provide contract employment, you do adhere, to the labor laws of South Africa, and making sure that, you provide the relevant benefits to the employees and all of that. I think the main issue with providing contract employment is that, employees then, forego things like your provident fund and other types of benefits that they would otherwise be getting in a permanent employment situation. So maybe employers can also try and structure their contracts in such a way that employees still actually have access to some of these benefits, because these are quite vital for quite a number of people that are, seeking employment out there. That, look, although I'm looking for a contract employment, I definitely would also want to have, some of these benefits, because that is what would make, the position a lot more attractive.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. Thank you. What I want to ask you, let's get into our magic bicycle and go 5 years hence. Where do you see your business and yourself?
As I had mentioned earlier, technology is the thing, technology is the big thing. And COVID-19 has thrust all of us into thinking about technology and into making use of technology. We've basically been forced to make use of technology. So I definitely see us moving more into utilizing tech, to enhance business efficiency for us. I see us, converting more into technology, using more technology for the recruitment services that we are providing. We are already working on, an app for recruitment services. We already have digitized the bursary administration. So we already are using technology in that space. We are already using technology in providing our HR services. As I've mentioned, we provide, we like a virtual HR service to quite a number of organizations. So we've got clients nationwide that we provide HR services to, and not all of them are face-to-face. So we are a virtual HR department to many SMMEs out there, and we do that through this digital technology that we use. We call it the HAM system.
The HAM system?
HAMS, yes, HAM system.
H-A-M-S.
H-A-M-S, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an HR asset management system. That's what it stands for.
Okay, fantastic.
Yes.
But now, obviously, there are a lot of competitors in the industry. How do you see yourself giving a unique solution in response to all the competitors that are there?
Yeah, so yes, there's definitely are quite a number of competitors in this space. I think what makes us unique from a number of the competitors that we have is that we offer a holistic HR services, and we've also identified that, SMMEs, they make up a huge margin in the economy and the GDP of the South African economy. They are actually the biggest employers in any given economy. And we've actually identified that as an untapped market. So those are people that we've realized require HR services more than anybody. And so we are helping them in navigating, and growing their businesses by providing holistic HR services. So I definitely think that's one of the things that makes us different. And another one, as I mentioned, is that we are leveraging on technology to be able to scale the business and hopefully to be able to move, into the greater African continent. So we are currently working in some African, we are already providing some HR services to a number of countries within the greater African continent, and we are hoping to grow that even further. So we are quite excited about, this new journey that we are planning to embark on. So that is basically our value proposition at this point in time, and we are very flexible. We immerse ourselves in our clients' business. We get to know them very well. So even though we are a virtual HR department, we actually hold your hand and we work hand in hand with you. We get to know the ins and outs of your business to make sure that we are able to provide the best possible HR support to the organization, so that you can have peace of mind and focus on growing your core business, because that is what you are here for, to actually, grow this idea that you've come up with. You've got this idea to grow this business, and we allow you to focus on that. And then we will deal with all your people-related matters, your employee-related matters, and you will just have peace of mind. And that's basically what we do.
Thank you very much, Naledi. The question I had now, when you mentioned different countries, especially in Africa, they all have different legislation, right? Especially with employment and so on. And I think South Africa's most hectic one, if I might be mistaken. But how do you deal with that? So for example, Jeff's in Gabon, and Jeff basically now, he wants you to help him with the HR there. Wouldn't that mean that you would need to look at that legislation, which might be totally different to South Africa? How would your company deal with that?
Okay, so we actually collaborate with quite a number of, consultants out there. Remember, these days, there's not much that you can do on your own. If you want to scale your business, you need to leverage on relationships and collaborations. So we collaborate quite a lot. We're very open to collaborating with other HR professionals, other HR organizations out there. So we do have HR consultants that we work with in the different countries that we are already operating in, that are more familiar with the labor relations legislations in those countries. And so collaboration is the way to go. I mean, that's the new buzzword. If you are not collaborating out there, I don't know how you're going to manage to scale your business. So, that's how we actually grow the pie. That's how you make the pie bigger. It's about collaborating, working together with other people. That's how you get to learn about how other people work, and that's how you get to grow your business. So collaboration is the key word on how to actually scale your business. If you want to go global, I would definitely say collaboration is very critical. And that's basically what we are doing.
Fantastic. There was one question that's come up on Clubhouse, and I'm just going to ask, it's from Rax. Rax says, okay, tell me, do you have a leadership management course that's available? Lubise Matlo is asking that question.
Yes, we do. We do have a leadership course. She can actually send an email to me, or my email address is naledi@dalitso.co.za, and then I can basically share all the contents with her. Or I don't know if there's any other way for me to actually share that information. Alternatively, she can also go to our website, which is www.dalitso.co.za for more information. But yes, we do provide leadership courses.
Okay, fantastic. And then I'm just going to ask Rex. Rex, if you could just re-put your question there so that I can see. I'm not sure what it means and what you're asking. Then Wilhelm Lombard says on Clubhouse, my passion is to help and develop young people. I focus on personal, interpersonal, and professional leadership, creating a positive, energetic work environment. Are there ways to get involved, to transfer skills to these valuable young people? That's what Wilhelm's asking.
So she wants to know, is there a way to, can you just rephrase that question?
He's asking, are there ways to get involved in transferring skills to valuable young people? And what Wilhelm is a energy life coach, and he focuses on personal, interpersonal, and professional leadership within organizations. So he's asking, how can he help in actually getting involved with transferring these skills of life energy into the youth of today?
Yes, no, there are definitely quite a lot of opportunities. As I had mentioned earlier, one of our most popular courses is a facilitation course. And I definitely think that if he can actually do that type of course, which is a facilitator course, it will actually allow him to be able to work with various organizations to help in transferring some of those skills and, providing training and facilitating some of that to the youths that he wants to work with. So it's definitely something that we can help him with, to help equip him with the relevant skill set that will allow him to be able to do that. And also allow him to be accredited. So when he's accredited, it means he can also work with corporates, he can work with the government, and be able to, provide those services, maybe with the Department of Energy. He can work with some of the municipalities and so forth as an accredited facilitator. So that would definitely create opportunities for him to be able to do that.
Fantastic. Wilhelm, I hope you heard that. Thank you very much, Naledi, for that. Then Rex asks, what type of criteria are needed in terms of upskilling technical workers to be ready for management positions?
Okay, are these people that are already employed, or these are people that are looking for employment, or?
I think they're basically people within the organization that are more technical, and then obviously taking them from being a technical person to be managed. So asking what type of criteria would be needed to upskill those various people.
Okay, so with management, I definitely feel that, over and above, attending a course like, say, for instance, a leadership course, you would also need experience and some practicals to go with that. So that in that type of situation, they would need to engage with the organization to request, for them to, enlist, training and development or upskilling, because, it's quite important for an organization to be able to realize that you want to motivate people, you want people to stay, you want people to be heard, you want people to feel valued. So in doing so, it's quite important to acknowledge that, people have been working in your organization for such a long time, and they actually know the ins and outs, and for you to be able to provide them with opportunities where they can be promoted, to supervisor and management level. So it's quite important to be able to expose them to, supervisory and management duties within the organization and training in the organization. So I would definitely ask him to possibly recommend us to, you know, the HR executive or the learning and development head, and then we can, you know, come and assist them in putting together a program that will allow the organization to be able to create a program that can create a pipeline where, you know, technical workers are exposed to supervisory and management skills and courses, so that over the long run, people can have a career path that they can follow within the organization and actually know that, you know, there are options in the organizations and opportunities for them to advance their careers. Because, you know, that's quite important, because you need to feel valued. You need to also feel that there are opportunities within an organization for you in order to grow. Everybody wants to grow in their roles in organizations. So I would definitely say that please put us in touch with your HR executive and we can design a program.
Fantastic. Naledi, tell us quickly, what is your winning aspiration?
My winning aspiration is that you should never have to wait for the right time for anything, because there is never the right time. So, and you don't have to wait until you have the resources to start your dream business, because there is never such a time. You need to start right now with whatever you have. So if you have a dream to start a business, if you have a dream to do anything, don't wait for the right moment. Don't wait for a moment when you're going to have enough time or enough money or enough resources. Start now with whatever you have. There's also a Chinese proverb that says, a journey, 1,000 miles begin with one step. So start with what you have. Start now. Don't wait for the right time. There isn't the right time. Now is the right time. And start with whatever you have. You've got a little laptop, you've got your cell phone. If you don't have a laptop, you've got a smartphone. A smartphone is a laptop, it's a computer, it's everything. You can run your business on this. You can do e-commerce on your laptop, on your smartphone. You can run your business on your phone. So you don't need money. You can start now. You can start collaborating, as I had mentioned earlier. You can leverage on your relationships. You actually have a lot. You have a lot. If you just sit down, you will realize that you have a lot to actually start your dream business. And now is the time. Now is the time more than ever. And remember, collaborate, work with other people. It will help you.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you so much. It's such a great saying, and I'm going to take that forward with me. So thank you very much, Naledi. I just want to thank you and thank all those listeners on Zoom, and then also all of those who've listened in and supported us on Clubhouse. We've been interviewing Naledi. Naledi is the CEO of this HR business, which is an incredible business, and she does so many different things, namely, looking after bursaries, bursary management. She deals with the SMEs. She does recruitment, and she also does training and development, and then offer general HR services. So if you need to get hold of someone who's totally computer savvy serial entrepreneur, who's a life coach and business coach and a public speaker, please get hold of Naledi Gallant, as in the French, and obviously look at her business, which is Dalitso Holdings. Go and have a look at that. And we've put the link in the post at the top of Clubhouse. And for those of you who are on the Zoom call, you'll see that we'll post all the details at the end of this video that we're going to do now. So Naledi, I'm going to thank you very much. I'm going to hand back to Jeff. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, David. Thank you for having me on the show this morning.
Thank you, David. Thank you so much. Naledi, you know what? I was listening very deeply, and this is one thing I just got. It was recruiting is matching. I love that. And I cannot wait to to have you be known on your company. And also I also appreciate the great resilience during the COVID with you and your team. That was absolutely something that really blew my mind. So we hope to see you next time. And thank you, David, for that great interview. And thank you all guys here in our clubhouse.